Hey, Course 1 Math, we're at Lesson 100. Congratulations for making it to this milestone. I hope you've been enjoying learning all sorts of things from the Course 1 Math book with me this way. Today we're going to learn about putting integers together, thinking a lot about the word combine, okay? Combine. With integers, it's a number set that includes the negatives too, okay? So integers, as it kind of explains in your book right here, are not just the counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, but also negative counting numbers, negative 1, 2, 3, and then we also include 0 as well in the integers. So we can go up or down the thermometer, so to speak. So we can go below 0 degrees too, right? Thankfully not much this time of year, but below 0 degrees is a negative temperature. The dots on a number line, kind of like a thermometer, they mark integers from 5 to even go to -5. I mean, usually you see this as a -5, but sometimes it's nice just to think of it as you've moved 5 spots either way. That's called absolute value. Both are 5 away from 0, right? This one we think, though, as the negatives. This is the positives to the right. And when you're looking on a thermometer, you think up positives, down negatives, okay? So imagine the temperature is at 0 degrees. If the temperature falls, I like that word, falls 5 degrees, or a -5, then falls another 5 degrees, we're at -10. It's kind of like doing 5 plus 5. We're just going, and then you're at 10. We're just going this way instead. You still get to a 10. It's just the opposite of 10. It's the -10. It's like adding 5. You don't do -5 and then -5 is 0. It's really like adding up the integers 5, just remembering that we're on the negative side now. Versus if you added 5, we'll talk about that, it's a little different. So it's better to think of falling 5 degrees twice as 2 negatives with a plus sign in the middle. And it's really important to start thinking of the plus sign. I think this is the biggest lesson of today. Instead of saying plus or add, today why don't you think of it as combine? If you think of it as -5 combined with -5, what do you get? You get to -10. That's at least always been helpful for me. When you add two negative numbers, the sum is negative. Thermometer is kind of like a number line in some ways. It's also different in some ways. It's obviously lying on its side, but it still counts from 0, and it'll help us later. When we talk about opposites of a number, it's basically its pair on the other side of 0. They're both the same distance from 0. Like 11 and -11 are both 11 spots from 0, right? Both 11 spots. They're just mirror images of each other, one being on the plus side, one being on the minus side. In another situation, we're at an exactly 0 degree day, like you see in this picture. The line is right at 0 degrees. The temperature falls 5 degrees, so it moves a -5, down 5. Then the temperature rises, which is a +5, up 5. That is like saying -5 plus, or combined with, +5 is back to 0. So we start here, we fall, we rise back up. Combining those two puts us back to 0. Back to 0. Starting from 0 degrees, if the temperature rises 5, then falls 10 degrees, we're taking +5 combined with the -10. You're going to have more negatives than positives and end up under 0, but not as far as -10 because we were up here. So you have to go up and then back down 10, and you end up at -5. So the book's going to say something like add a +8 combined with -5. That's the way I like to say it out loud. Maybe you don't even think about this part and just say +8 combined with negative 5. You can use a number line to illustrate this. I have extras in the trays. You can grab one if you'd like. Start at 0 always. Get to your first integer, which was a positive 8. You can go up and over until you get to 8. It's right here. But stay hovering above. Stay right here. Combine it with opposite of 5, or negative 5. So now back 5, forward 5, back 5. We count from 8 now, not 0. From where we were, we walk back 5 steps, and we see where we were left. Not at 0, not at 8, but the difference of 8 and 5 is 3, right? But instead of saying 8 minus 5, we're saying the sum, the combination of positive 8 and negative 5. And in this case, combine negative 5 with negative 3. It's really like saying 5 plus 3. If you want to illustrate it with a number line, I'll quick jump over there. You start at your first integer, which was negative 5. So we walk over, walk over to the left till you get to negative 5, right here. That's right here. Then we combine that with back 3 again. Back 3. You can think of negative as back if you're on a number line. Back 3. Now we're all the way to negative 8. So just getting your directions straight and thinking of plus as more of a combination. It's called algebraic addition. If you combine 6's opposites, negative and positive, you go back to 0. That's the way it is for any opposites. You can also show this with parentheses, right? Parentheses are these guys, and it kind of keeps everything organized. I like parentheses a lot, especially when you start using variables, okay? You can look at that example 4 a little bit more if it's helpful. If opposites are added, the sum is 0. Opposite refers to its mirror on the other side of 0. So just flip the sign. Flip the sign to find opposites. Using opposites allows us to change any subtraction problem into an addition problem. Instead of saying 10 minus 6, like we used to, you can say add the opposite of 6 to 10, or combine negative 6 to 10, and you go back to 4. So you can think of it as add the opposite, or you can say combine with the negative or positive, negative in this case. This is called algebraic addition. Instead of subtracting minuend and subtrahend, you take an addend and you combine it with the opposite of the subtrahend, I guess, and you find really a sum, is what we're kind of saying today. So instead of using the word add, now they're getting closer to what I was saying. Simplify or combine negative 10 and minus negative 6. How do they want to look at that? They say add the opposite. So flip both signs. To me, I just see 2 opposites make a plus. So if I see 2 minuses, I always turn them into pluses. However, you can remember that. Negative 10 minus a minus 6 means plus 6. Take away the opposite means plus. In this case, you just add negative 3 plus 5. Your back 3, your forward 5 on the number line, that leaves you at, same as saying 5 minus 3, you're at a positive 2 now. That's positive. I can even show the positive sign in case it's getting confusing. Man, there's a lot of pages to this lesson. I'm thinking you're probably following okay. We've said a lot of the same thing over and over again. Hold on, let's double check. Example 7, they're saying this said now negative 3 minus 5. Is that what it said? That's 2 pluses. Looks like a typo in my, at least, ebook here. If it did say negative 3 minus plus 5. Then we would go back 3. And then we'd go back 5 again to negative 8. Okay, so find a sum, draw a number line, or you can use one of my templates from the tray to show how we're going with like negative 3 plus 4. Go from 0 to negative 3. Then go up and over 4 spots, leaving you in letter A at 1, right? Opposites of numbers, remember, just flip the sign. Solve each subtraction problem is like what we finished on. So with like letter M, think of this as a number with its sign, okay? And then we're taking away a plus 2. I guess we could think of this as a number, and we could just think of back 4, take away 2 spots, okay? Or you can think of it the way the book had it, and you can change this to plus and flip the sign. Minusing a plus means minus. Minusing a minus means plus. Plus a plus means plus. Okay, do all of these because I think they're harder. Do all of these because they're so easy, and pick 3 of these.